Oh, oh, hey guys. Day 2, Carcassonne. Look where we are. That's right. We're right outside Saint Vincent Church. And before we do anything, we're going in. You can't stop me. So let's go. Thank God. No pun intended there, but seriously. We hit this string where we just kept going into churches or trying to get into churches and they were locked on us. So it's about time. Thank you, France. Thank you. And now, before we venture through to the old city, to the castle that I saw from Rick Steves, we're walking this way because I see this beautiful fountain in the distance over here, and I'm like, we need to check it out. Now, first impressions, I gotta tell you guys this. I love being here. My soul is pretty happy right now because it feels like fall. And there are trees, and there are leaves falling. And this morning when I went running, it was a touch of heaven. I even found another chapel that I went into as well. Oops. It's kind of fun. Not only did I sleep last night in the center of town, but I seem to have found all of these restaurants. So for you like restaurant people, this is a great place. And I see a cemetery right up there on the ledge over there. You guys see it? Don't worry, we'll hit a cemetery probably later though. Gotta start in baby steps. I have no idea what this is, this pillar, but it's here. Amazing, isn't it? And you have dueling fountains. You have this one right here to the side. And of course, you have another fountain. Ooh, 2 more fountains over here. Now, not knowing what the commentary is going to be on this video, because I don't know a lot of people who are like, oh, I got to go to Carcassonne. But I want to remind you, I'm a tourist. I'm not a tour guide. So, there you have it. Oh, I do like these fountains. Almost as much as I like the leaves. Almost as much as I like the leaves. It really is beautiful. Now, one thing I want to mention with the beautiful sound of this fountain right here, in the background is the train station. So if you got to get to the city of Toulouse or other places, it's right over there. And these trees, but I wanted to comment about them, which might seem a little bit random, but it's not. These trees are like the exact same trees that I had in Brindisi. So I feel like there's a little bit of a, there's definitely a Mediterranean vibe going on, which would make sense. Definitely would make sense. Oh, here's an old church right here. Look at that. Huh. There's Mary right there. That's cool. So one thing I was gonna say, like, about this section of town that I like, it definitely has like, I don't know, it's definitely more of what I'm accustomed to than, I mean, look at the bookstore. It's more of what I'm used to is the point. It definitely is a contrast to living in Tangier right now, aside from the fact that I can actually read the French. And you'll note right here, which is kind of cool, this is sort of like a built-in drain that they have. So the water is able to when it does rain, it goes right down into that area. So the upper part of the street's not completely flooded. There's a little chocolate place right here. Look at that. Ooh. So pretty. There's still a chill in the air too, but I think it's because I've been living in Africa, so it feels colder to me. So I'm actually glad I planned ahead. And I'm using my jacket that I bought when I was in the city of Morecambe over the summer. Now last night right here in this square, there was it's like a wine festival going on. And today it's a book market. People are selling their jams. And actually on the other part of town, we'll see it in a bit, there's a farmer's market going on as well. But it's very cool. It's like a bustling city of 46,000 with a lot of chocolatiers and cheese shops. And now what we'll do is we're going to hang a left right here. Actually going to run back up. I got to make sure I get my battery for this camera. Is that cozy? Look, they have a sloth right there. It's cute. Alright, let's roll. Okay. We're en route to the castle. I mean the city, the walled city, the old city. I was here last night. But what's special is about right now, aside from the sun that's making it really interesting for us to see, is look at these trees. Look at these beautifully manicured trees. This whole park right here makes me think about, like, you know, if you have a significant other, or, like, this is a place where you go for a stroll. Or, in my case, this is where you run in the early morning hours. And you get to hear all the pigeons that are up on the trees figuring out ways to take over the world. It's really quite fascinating. It's quite loud this morning with those birds. You should have been there. Now, there are a couple different ways to get to where we're going right now. There's like the proper bridge where all the traffic is. And then the way that we're going, this way, which is right next to a chapel of all things. And I think maybe a monastery or convent, not sure. But this is like the old footbridge, I think. It also happens to be like where all the hotels are. I imagine the majority of the tourists that come to the city, supposedly over 3 million a year, where we're going is where they usually flock to. So what we're about to cross is, well, now it's no longer, it's been redone, but in the 13th century there was the first stone bridge was put in where we're going to walk across the Aude, A-U-D-E, and it's right next to the hospital and then this old chapel. So here's the chapel right here, which we'll go into momentarily. And then here is the old hospital, I think. And again, both of these are right on the river and your way down. So that little chapel is the Chapel of Notre Dame, which has some significance with my family. A lot, actually. I ended up going to college by the same founding fathers, if you will, of Notre Dame. Or at least it's like a side offshoot, the Brothers of the Holy Cross. So here's the Aude River, the Aude. down there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. There's trails on both sides. It goes all the way down for a few miles at least. I really enjoyed it this morning when I was venturing across. I would say the early morning hours, but it wasn't. It was like 7:30 in the morning. And then if you look on this part of the river, you can see the mountains in the distance. And there have been several stages here actually for the famous bike race known as the Tour de France. And one year they started here, one year they ended here. Actually, that might have been the same year, but they've had different races through here. What a beautiful day. So as we go across the footbridge, and people are trying to take their pictures, which I guess I could say I feel bad about, but I don't. Once you cross this bridge, you can't help but see the old city. But before we do that, look at the little cross right there, reminding us of the Catholic tradition in this area. And then take a look at this, guys. There she is. Can you see it? Better view. Because I have a Polish connection, of course. This little kid who's not listening. Hold on, let me get by these people. Or maybe this was the old hospital. It could be. Something about Notre Dame. So we're kind of in the village leading up to the castle that they've renovated over the years. Although, a little side bit of information, the castle did not always look like this. The castle, the old city, they ended up, the rooftops are more of a northern French look, and the architecture guy that did it, he got some flack for it, because if you look, what's more common down here is the red, it's like for the tiles, and that's what they should have used, but instead it's got like a northern look because of the building supplies or something that he decided he wanted to do instead. I forget all the details. Look at this cute little vintage restaurant right here. So I don't believe there are any restaurants inside the old city, but there are definitely out here. And if it's interesting, I have not heard a lick of English in 10 weeks, aside from at school, but seen plenty of British tourists lately here. It's interesting. I think there's 4 different ways to get into the city, and there's one gate which is the Toulouse gate, and that's the only one that I remember reading about because Toulouse is the major city in this part of France, and it's also only like 50 kilometers away. So we'll go. Oh, see, I see another church up ahead. Okay, we're going up in case you haven't seen this. It's really kind of funny, actually. This reminds me of when I visited the city of Occitanie. And you had to like scale the hill to get up to the white city, if you will. And instead, we're scaling a hill to get up to whatever this is. Now, full disclosure, found out last night there is a charge to get in here. And I'm not very excited about that, if I'm being honest. It's not too bad. It's like €13, but I don't like spending money on stuff. I'd rather spend it on food. Now, one thing I have seen is you can walk the perimeter, the outside of this. So we'll we'll take a look and see what tickles our fancy, if you will. And then I do want to show you this. So this is that church. If you look across, you see that roof right there? Those red thatches, tiles, that's what the rooftop should have been. On the old city. The old Roman fort. Yes, because this was a strategic place between the Mediterranean and along some rivers towards Toulouse and other parts of France. Now we're talking. Now, if you look behind me, between the crowds, you can't see the crowds yet, but there they are. And then here's the castle, which looks almost like it looks, I don't want to sound negative, but it reminds me a little bit of like going to Disney World or to Universal Studios, and like a big prop, if you will. Huh. I wonder if they'll let us in for free. But you know what caught my eye? There's this beautiful cemetery right next door. I hear people are dying to get in there, man. Dying. So, I don't know, but I think we might actually just be able to walk in. We'll see momentarily, but before we do that, here we go. Cemetery time. My God. Non-person, this is your lucky day, man. You got churches, and now you got cemeteries. Huh. Back in the groove. So, right next to the old city is the cemetery. And I know this will come as no surprise to people, but it's not very busy. And even the runners that I've seen jockeying up the hill right here to get in their morning Saturday workout, no one's bothering this area. Look at this. This is awesome. And just like our Polish cemeteries, for people that have watched my Polish stuff, look at the photos. It's from the 1920s and 30s. See those two gentlemen right there? Wow. This is lovely. I was just going to comment, I didn't see any like graves that are kind of low to the ground, but then we look over there and there are some that are buried under, but most of them have more of a, I don't want to use a raised grave, if you will. Predominantly because of flooding, but I think also because if you have multiple family members, it's easier to, this is going to sound bad, or grave, it's easier to stack them. Now, one thing I'm looking for, because you might be like, John, really? There's a beautiful old castle next door. Why are we in here, really? I'm looking for some relatives of mine. That's right, I am. Because on my grandmother's side and my grandfather's side, they're French. And I was looking very, very carefully, and I did some tracing. My mom will appreciate this because I remember when my grandmother did it before she transitioned home. And I remember my grandmother did all the research. Sorry, I'm showing you the castle. She did all the research and she gave me some drawings of some castles. But the Carpentiers and the Yondos, I forget what the Yondo was, the American and Canadianized name of, I think it's Chandro something. I forget what it is. But the point is, I looked up, and some of those descendants came from this region. I am realizing as I'm walking through this cemetery, by the way, none of my relatives would be here because all of these graves are from like the early 1900s into the early 2000s. Actually, there's some late 1800s as well, but it's okay. It's all good. I still got to send you a cemetery. And now we'll cross the moat. You'll note the fall colors, the leaves. And now we'll try our luck getting in here. I will say though, I did notice that there is a public bathroom right to the side, and it's free. Shh. Although it's just for the homies. All right, away we go. Here's the moat. Well, so far so good. We got into one gate. Uh-oh. Oh no. And I'm pretty sure we can walk that way, which we will momentarily. People have their dogs because they can't help themselves. And then you have the Office of Tourism. Oh, look at this. This is pretty cool. They got all these cute little shops. So up here, I just like this look at this building. Now what they recommend for here is like 2 hours. Most people are getting the guided tour. We're too cool for the guided tour. Or is it too cheap? It's one or the other. If only I could bring that armor and those swords on the plane. Okay, hot dog, paninis. They do have food. Oh my God, look what I found right here. Someone loves their cats. So this is interesting. This is actually what I expected it to be, where they'd have ATMs. Remember how I said little restaurants and shops, because how do you get people to hang out? But you have stuff ready for them. And look at this right here. Isn't this cute? Actually, this is cute. Not mocking. It's awesome. And if you wanted to, you can get up on that side over there. We'll find a different vantage point. The prices are about the same that at least I saw at the other restaurants in the proper city. So this is a pretty good deal. All right, let's go. Holy shnikes. All I'm seeing are shops and restaurants. All right then. Wow. I guess we'll have to get some food. If you're into the medieval ages, you go that way. There's a medieval camp. They have bathrooms throughout. That's nice. It's a nice touch. Okay, so let's talk for a second about, again, why is this old city important? Again, Roman times. Really important to have a fort in this part of the countryside, in between two major mountain ranges. Oh my God. Look at the size of that. Bird. But I mean, that's the key, is you always wanted to have the high ground so you could watch and observe. Here's the rooftop restaurant right here, and there's an old well. I wonder if Belle will show up, or Gaston. Oh, Gaston. Wow, man, this is like my lucky day. So we cut through here, we're going through another part of the city, and I have to remind myself, you know, it's again part of the city. It's sort of like in Malta for the city of Medina, how it was an entirely walled city. And that's what this is. I mean, as it grew over the years, but it's so cool. And look at this. I'm pretty sure this is a church right here in front of us. We'll have to check it out because why not? So I feel like the people that are up there, they must have had to pay because I have not seen a access way into that section yet, which tells me there's someone that's letting you into it. There's another gate. And for you theater fans right here, they have a theater right over here on the side. Theater Jean Deschamps, I think is how I pronounce it, but my French accent kind of sucks, as is my French. On a completely different side note, little story here. I remember growing up as a kid, actually when I was in Moscow, so I was 15. And I remember you could always tell who the tourists were, at least the Chinese tourists, because everyone had a camera around their neck and they're all taking pictures. And I remember making fun of that. And now look at all of us. All of us have our cameras. Another French tour guide right there explaining something. So they do have, so this is the City Hotel right here to my right. And of course, you can't get into these doors yet. It's very, very cool. It's a little touristy for me, but I still like it. I just pretend that I'm in the land of Harry Potter. Do you like that little cross? Because I'm sure the French would like that. All right, this sign is pretty cool, or not. So this is the Basilica of Saint Nazaire. Okay, I am Catholic. The Basilica of Saint Nazaire is a church always assigned to the Roman Catholic cult. I'm not even going to read the rest. The cult. Nice. Well, we know how the French feel then, don't we? Don't we? So they say no talking to be respectful of the Catholics that are in here. I mean, of the cult. Yet all I hear is conversations. You'll note the triptych design of this church. We just came in the cross. So you start here, you cut back over, and then here's the altar itself. I don't think I've ever been in a church where they've had a sign that says, "Don't talk," to have so many people talk. And yes, I know I was talking to you, but the point is, the background noise. The only reason why I talked is because everyone else was. A bunch of special people. Cute little restaurant here. It's beautiful. So now, just imagine this place during the height of tourist season, which is July and the month of August. So for people for you introverted folk like myself, the off season is a better time to clearly visit. It seems like everyone and their dog is also here, which is kind of comical. So now we are on some of the outer walls, and I did see some other crossings and stuff like that, which again leaves me back to, if you pay, I'm confident you can get to those other outer parts if that's what you're into. But you can clearly see enough of this place without dropping a dime if you're looking to save some money. And if you're looking for views, you still get them from here. There's the church where we started this morning, I believe, way over there on the side. And then if you the mountains, and then if we go over here to the left, and I'll have to show you with my other camera, but snow-capped peaks. Right over there. I think that's Spain or Andorra. Awesome. You know, standing here right now, I'm in every medieval age movie that I've ever seen when I was a kid growing up. I'm in Camelot. I'm in Lady Hawk. Great movie, great underrated movie with Matthew Broderick, and I think Michelle Pfeiffer was in that too. Anyway, great movie. Some of the castle scenes from Krull, Willow. I'm just gonna keep listing movies. But it's really cool though, even though just to kind of take into account, like obviously this wasn't what the Roman hilltop fortress looked like to begin with. This is what developed over time and then whatnot. But look at the slits. So you can't get shot at, or you're less likely to anyway. When I was a kid, I knew and this is also from Dungeons and Dragons, I knew all the terminology for these things. And I remember every time that I would write, I always wanted to have stories take place here in these wonderful castles. It's truly beautiful. And even now, it's kind of cool. So I see people. So, as you know, there's multiple walls. So now we're on the middle wall, if you will, where the defenders would be on the other side. What's that? We should go check it out. All right, fine. I feel like I'm a page running to deliver a message right now up here, up to one of the knights, for him to then pass on to the commander of the forces of the Knights Guard. It's cool. So my question is, how many people have been here? How many people are now interested to go here? Or are you just going to accept this tour as enough? I just realized something. So that right there is the inner castle. Because you see the moat? So they had multiple moats. I also heard the tour guide lady say that. Really makes me sound more sophisticated, doesn't it? So, side commentary. It's not really built for the handicap. I mean, I don't think I've seen a wheelchair yet. Doesn't mean you can't get one in here. Just saying. It would be an adventure. And look where we are. We're right back at the well. Nice. I know this is going to come as a shock to you, but I left. I was only in there for about 40 minutes. Walking around. It's enough for me. I don't know if I liked it more than Malbork. I mean, I didn't get kicked out, so that was a positive. I like the fact that they have all these restaurants. I think it'd be kind of fun. Come back with some people and have a meal. It's definitely a cool spot. Worth seeing. But there's one more thing I saw that caught my eye that I was like, let's go over here instead. Alright, maybe my plan, maybe I'm not as cool as I thought I was. I'm trying to walk the perimeter of the castle around it instead. Because I thought I could get a better view of the city. I don't think that's a good idea. Because I gotta go all the way that way. Well, anyway, as we trek down the hill back to the proper city, as I will say. It's interesting the number of people now that you see showing up. A lot of them with baby carriages, their dogs. People are clearly just coming, you know, so they can get some food. But it's interesting because if you're looking for smaller crowds, you got to come here significantly, you know, you got to come here before noon, that's for sure. And it's funny, there was a woman out front of that gate, of the gate that we went in, and she's holding up 2 balloons for 52 and smiling and taking her photograph. It made me laugh because I'm like, okay, happy birthday, happy birthday. And to avoid this guy who's sitting on the street with his 2 dogs, one that snapped at me, I think this is the Saint Francis school right here, telling the history of Carcassonne on these murals. Definitely you see this quaint village, if you will, with these houses. Now probably the number one thing on everyone's mind, the one thing we have not hit yet, if we're playing the game of what we typically look for in one of my vlogs, there's only one thing we haven't done. One thing. That's right. We gotta eat. So I'm cutting back right now to find a place to eat in the new city because I like the new city's vibe. And we're right back outside the Notre Dame for the chapel right here. And when I was walking, I noticed this. I want to show you it down below. You can maybe see there's like a water level for meters. And if you look at the top part up towards the window, it says 1820 and then 1891. So there was a time where the floodwaters got up as high as up there. That's crazy. Maybe not as crazy as I think, since I know I saw on the news this region had gotten a lot of rain recently, but clearly the water didn't rise that high over here. But wow, that would flood the whole the whole side area. And I know it's not funny, but that's what I'm stating. All right. Food. All right, so we're sitting right off the square. It's a little chilly, so I'm inside, and we're gonna get some food in here. So I got some oysters and some mussels with cream and fries, and I'm starting another round of, So getting some French dishes that I grew up with that I like, and we'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. Yummy, yum. Not sure why there's butter though. Got one left. They're very fresh. It tastes different than like the Chesapeake Bay ones that I usually eat. I can't get it off. That was for you, Mom. So we have some chips, fries, got my bread, and then look at this, got our mussels. Huh. Well, that was an interesting meal. The oysters, they were fine. I would have preferred to have them with a shot of beer, if you get my drift, because oyster shooters are really good, but that's more of an American thing. The mussels were disgusting. Like, disgusting. There was no, even though they used a cream, and there was a lot of them, I don't know. They were disgusting. And I had to fight to get through them all, and I'm just like, this is just a pain in the rear. So anyway, mixed bag. But the meal itself, I like the restaurant itself, and it made me laugh being in there because this couple who sat down next to me, there's like this like older couple. They ordered their food, which if I could read French and actually had taken some time, I probably, well, and if I'd known the mussels were going to be awful, I should have ordered something else. But anyway, they, because it was like $21 pretty much for my 3 oysters and the mussels. But, so, going back to the couple, this is my last story of the day, and then I'm going to bid you adieu. But, so this couple, they're sitting down, and I guess the guy wanted more bread, and he held out the basket out next to him, and he's like, and he kept doing it over and over again, and it took the waitresses maybe 2 to 3 minutes to realize that the guy's just holding his basket of bread, wanting more bread. And I could see it out of my my peripheral vision, because I wanted to film what I was eating, but I was like, nope, this is too good. Let me watch this show instead. So that in itself was worth it, even though the food was. But if you've ever seen that meme with the cat that's like pushing the bowl back and forth because it wants some food, that's literally what this was. So yeah. So anyway, that's it. Goodbye from Carcassonne. I'll see you guys soon. Maybe in Morocco, maybe in Portugal. Who knows? All right, peace.